Want to learn about one of the longest running attractions in Gatlinburg? Then you're in luck because today's video we're talking about SkyPark, a popular attraction that's been entertaining visitors to the Smoky Mountains since 1953. Welcome to Bear Facts, where we explore the Smoky Mountains one bear fact at a time. There are many amazing attractions that guests can experience in the Smoky Mountains, but there are those that are an absolute must to see, either because of their history to the region or for what they offer. SkyPark is one of those attractions, at least in my mind. When we first started visiting the Smoky Mountains, we did our due diligence and looked for all the top attractions that people talked about. It should come as no surprise that SkyPark has come up often. So, of course, we added it to our lists of must-sees and made sure we, made it during our first visit. Now, if this is your first time looking into the Smoky Mountains, you might not even know what SkyPark is. So, let's talk about them and what makes them such a popular place to visit for first-timers or even returning guests. SkyPark is a local attraction that transports guests 1,800 feet above sea level to their mountainside attraction using a chairlift system. The chairlifts were the first of their kind in the South, making them a novelty to the area. The chairlift system has remained the same for over 70 years. When you visit SkyPark, you're using the same wooden benches, or at least the style, they used when the park first opened. The chairlift takes guests up a 500-foot hill and continuously drops off guests and picks them up to go back down. Now, these aren't the same exact chairs that were built for the park. No, those chairs were destroyed in the fire that also devastated 18,000 acres of land and caused over $2 billion of damage in the Smoky Mountain region in 2016. In some ways, that fire might have actually saved the park, though at the time, I'm sure the owners would have disagreed. Because of the fire and the complete desolation of the park, SkyPark was reborn. Plans that the owner had planned on starting eventually were put into motion and the park was revitalized. Up until that point, there wasn't that much in the way of competition for SkyPark. Uber Gatlinburg and the Space Needle were their biggest competitors before the fire, and Uber offered guests a completely different experiences, and their draw was more about the skiing, ice rink, and other activities they offered guests on their side of the mountain. And the Space Needle is more about the elevator ride to the top and a viewing platform that guests can walk around. So SkyPark didn't have any real competition. That was until Anakeesta began to build their sprawling complex on the other side of the valley. They opened their ski lifts in 2017, a year after the fire that destroyed SkyPark. Oh, and did I mention the fire? Yep, that fire completely destroyed what was formerly known as Skylift Park, leaving a shell of its former self, a lifeless husk on its mountainside. And while Anakeesta was opening their doors, taking in visitors, SkyPark was closed. Now, that might have spelled the end for most businesses. The upper terminal was completely destroyed, as well as extensive damage to their entire lift system, making it unsalvageable. Such damage and destruction would have crippled most businesses. And add to the fact that Anakeesta opened their doors just a year after the fire, you can imagine what it must have felt like to be the owners of this timeless attraction. But in the true frontier spirit of the Smoky Mountains, the owners of the park decided to dust the soot off their boots and keep moving forward. You see, they actually had plans before the fire happens to change things up and try to prevent the park from becoming stagnant. SkyPark had some pretty big plans in the works, and they were in the process of implementing those plans before the fire. So instead of folding and quitting, the owners decided to accelerate their original plans and move forward. It might be hard to see any fortune in the devastation of that fire. There were lives and homes lost that can never be replaced. But the park did have a few things that might have been considered lucky. For one, they didn't lose the bridge. Wait, what bridge? Oh, you mean that famous 680-foot long suspension bridge that hangs over 100 feet above the ground and has 30-foot section of see-through glass that people can walk on? Oh, you mean that bridge? Yeah, I'm talking about the bridge that most people think about now when you are talking about SkyPark. The bridge that has become so iconic to the area that most people don't even know the name of the actual park. Instead, they often refer to SkyPark as Sky Bridge. And the true irony being that the bridge was only one of the latest additions to SkyPark and wasn't even finished until after the fire of 2016. Up until 2016, SkyPark was an attraction known for the ski lifts that transported guests to the peak of their mountainside attraction. In fact, those ski lifts are what made the attraction so popular to begin with. The park had been around for over 65 years before the bridge was installed, but times have changed and innovative things like ski lifts become less novel. So now they're almost an afterthought to most people when considering the park. But when the bridge was installed, now people had something to be awed about. And there's a good reason the bridge has garnered so much attention. It's a true marvel of engineering and human innovation. The bridge was actually originally slated to be constructed before the fire, but because they fell behind in construction or planning, not sure which, the bridge wasn't up when the fire destroyed the mountainside. So when the fire destroyed the park, the bridge wasn't part of that devastation. Some might consider that luck. But let's not gloss over the monumental engineering feat and ignore the amazing ingenuity and design craftsmanship that went into the Sky Bridge. This is bare facts. I would be remiss in my duties if I didn't tell you about the sheer scale of the project and what it entailed. So let's take a brief look at what went into its construction. Before even considering the decking of the bridge, the engineers needed to install footers that would support the weight of not only the bridge, but the weight of the people and the tremendous stress created by the winds and weather that would put pressure on the bridge from the Smoky Mountains. Thousands of pounds of steel rebar and support anchors were built into the mountain sides, some going as far as 90 feet into the ground, almost as deep as the bridge goes high. And with over 1 million pounds of concrete to keep those supports in place, this was a big project. The fact that I can tell you there was exactly 1,063,125 pounds of concrete used should give you an indication of the precision the company had and how well they tracked their materials. After the concrete was poured, there was the arduous task of putting in the portals at each end. Massive bolts and tools were used to anchor these portals. When you walk through them, keep in mind that these portals are more than just decorative, but rather a key part of the construction and the support system of the bridge. Even after the anchors were put in, the engineers needed to get the cables in place, and finally, they can begin to actually build the bridge. The bridge has 129 decking frames and over 10,000 screws were used to attach the wooden planking between the frames. Now, I attached a link in the description to a website that has some really great information as well as footage of the bridge's construction. The photos I provided in this video are from ERI, the engineering group that constructed the bridge. Besides the amazing construction of the bridge and the wonder of walking between two mountains on a thin wisp of metal and wood, there's also the amazing opportunity to walk over 30 feet of clear glass. This glass plating is what most people are more excited about than anything else. Some guests are absolutely thrilled to try this and find it extremely unnerving to try. If you have any fear of heights, then this will definitely be a challenge. And unless you try it in person, it's really hard to explain the feeling of standing on that bridge with the 360-degree views of the mountains and a view of the valley right between your feet on clear display. And if you're worried that the glass can crack, let me reassure you that the glass has been tested by an idiot. Yep, there was actually a park guest who decided to test the glass by pulling a prank that actually was bad enough that it broke the surface glass. I imagine that person got into real trouble. But they also help prove that the glass is very safe. So let's talk about SkyPark as a whole attraction and not just the bridge. First, let's start with pricing. During the 2024 season, access to the park's features start at $30 if you pre-purchase your tickets online and $37 at the gate. As with most attractions in the area, the price will go up and down during the peak and off-peak seasons. By purchasing your tickets online, you will get to skip the line. By this, I mean you don't have to stand at the ticketing line, but you will still have to wait in the chairlift line. This can be a real time saver during the peak times, so I would highly consider it before going. This ticket will get you access to use the chairlift one time to get to the top and back to the bottom. If you want unlimited access for a day, you need to purchase another kind of pass. This unlimited day pass starts at $50 if you order ahead of time. SkyPark doesn't have season pass tickets as of this time. I have learned the hard way that planning ahead of time when visiting the Smoky Mountains will save you a lot of money, time, and aggravation. If you like to be spontaneous in your vacation plans, I warn you now, it will cost you. You can purchase your tickets at the ticket center at the base of the mountain off of Route 441 or online. The ticket center was just finished in 2023 and open to the public. It was one of the last upgrades the park has done since the fire in 2016. After purchasing your tickets, you'll go through the ticket center building and go to the chairlift in the back. The chairs are all the same design and style as the one of the earliest chairs when the park first opened in the 1950s, though you can now fit 2 people comfortably on each chair. Or 2 people and your dog. Yes, you heard me right, SkyPark is dog friendly. One thing I do warn all guests about is that the only way to get to the top of SkyPark is the chairlift system. Unlike Anakista and Uber Gatlinburg, SkyPark has no other access for park guests to use. If you are afraid of heights and find the chairlift to be a horrible experience going up, I'm sorry to say, but that is the only way back down. Though I'm sure the park has some access for emergency services and deliveries, guests are not allowed to drive to the top of the mountain. Even when there's a potential storm, the park evacuates using the chairlifts. Though there has never been an incident with lightning or guests being endangered, the park will evacuate all guests if there's even a potential chance of a storm. If this does happen during your visit, and your visit was cut short, the park will often reissue tickets for those guests who only purchased one-time trip tickets. The chairlift runs consistently and doesn't stop for guests to load and unload. Though they do stop on an occasion, it's rare. If you have low mobility, a stroller, or any reason you might need the chairlift to stop, you need to let the park attendants know ahead of time. I can't guarantee they can help much, but they will accommodate you if possible. So let's get this unpleasant detail out there before I move forward. SkyPark isn't very handicap accessible. They can accommodate a little, but unlike Anakista or Uber, there isn't any wheelchair access or means to help very low mobility guests. With that being said, the park is easy to navigate once you reach the summit. There are paved paths and ways to move around as long as you can navigate minor stairs or slightly uneven ground. Once you're at the top, there are other things besides a sky bridge to do. The park also has expanded their choice of activities since that fire, adding the new Sky Deck, Sky Center, Tulip Tower, and Sky Trail to the attraction. With admission to the park, you will have full access to all of these areas. When you hop off the Sky Lift, you see the Sky Deck area to your left. The Sky Deck is a relaxing area where guests can sit and enjoy the views from the safety and comfort of solid ground. The area has rocking chairs and overhead covering for guests who just want to sit and relax. The Sky Trail is also a new addition to the park. It is a trail that leads guests up and around the mountain edge on a gentle gravel trail that is about 1/3 of a mile long. It's ideal for guests who don't want to walk the bridge or don't want to walk it again. The trail begins at one side of the bridge and wraps up and around the mountain to the other end of the bridge. You can get to the Tulip Tower from the Sky Trail as well. The Tulip Tower was another addition to the park after the fire. The tower was named after one of the last standing trees after the massive fire destroyed the mountainside. Unfortunately, the tree was too damaged and needed to be taken down. But the tower is a testament to the power of nature and the resilience of the wildlife that make the Smoky Mountains their home. The tower is designed as a circular staircase that winds its way up a 70-foot metal structure. As you travel up the tower, you can read plaques in the center and read about the local fauna and wildlife. It's a fun little detour from the Sky Trail and gives you another amazing view of the mountains from the top. One of the last or maybe first places you might stop is the Sky Center. The Sky Center is a gift shop, bar, and snack area that guests can go to and get out of the sun or rain. It's temperature controlled, and it's also where you can find the bathrooms. The bottom level has a small food court and a decent-sized souvenir shopping area. If you go up the stairs, you'll find a full-size bar and an area where you can either sit inside or out on a small deck area. The SkyPark is a true landmark and has been part of the Smoky Mountains for 70 years. They're an amazing place to see and experience and are enjoyed by guests from around the world. There are many amazing things about the SkyPark, from their spectacular vistas to their proud local history. The Sky Bridge is a modern marvel and an amazing feat of human engineering. You will certainly get a thrill when walking over those glass tiles, standing over 100 feet above the ground. But there are things that make the SkyPark less desirable, from their limited access to the top and handicap accessibility, to the pricing, which also is something I feel could be steep for some guests. The lowest price will only get to the top and back once, and though you can stay as long as you'd like, if you want to go up and check the views out again at night, you'd have to pay more. And though you will only pay one price for everything they offer at the top, which isn't the case for Anakeesta and Uber, there are less things to do. The average guest might spend 2 to 3 hours on the attraction, which makes it a nice activity to do once you get out of the mountains after a hike or drive. But it comes with a steep price. I would suggest going at least once if you're ever in the Smoky Mountains. It's worth the time, and I feel it's worth the price. Though unless you go for a special event like New Year's or 4th of July, it might not be worth going again. I would go more often if they offered season passes, but I would suggest you consider it if you don't have a deathly fear of heights. I hope this video helps you plan your visit to the Smoky Mountains. Please note that we at Bearfax do not get paid for our videos. You're getting an honest review from our personal experiences, but facts and things change. So please let us know if you've learned anything new and want to share your experiences in the comments. Thanks again for visiting us at Bearfax of the Smoky Mountains. Please click that like button and subscribe to our